Good morning, my name's James. I work at Open Roads Complete RV. This morning we are going to be covering your Thor Outlaw 37RB. Alrighty, we are now at the driver's side of the motorhome at your front compartment door. Notice there is no keyhole in this handle. You are not allowed to have a lock on a door with a propane tank inside of it. Here is your rather large propane cylinder. Everything that burns propane in this motorhome is very efficient. Your biggest consumption on propane is going to be your furnace, and then the next one will be your water heater. If you are camping on propane alone, you should imagine this will last about 30 days before you have to refill. There's a gauge on the tank itself right here. It measures 3/4 as full because you have to have room for expansion. Propane is constantly expanding under different climates. If it gets hotter, it adds more pressure to the tank, so you want to only fill to 3/4 full. There's also a gauge inside. You can watch the level of your propane from the inside. You don't have to come outside in the climates to see it. Your on-off valve, lefty-loosey turns it on. Righty-tighty will turn it off. And then you also have storage up here as well. This is another one of those metal bins. It would be something good to put chairs in, or tools as well, whatever you like. Coming back to the next compartment door. This is your house battery station. You have 4 6-volt deep cycle batteries that are tied in parallel and in series. 2 batteries tied together make 12 volts. And then the other 2 batteries tied together make 12 volts, and that's how they are wired to your system. And then you also have your hydraulic reservoir and pump center. If you are ever curious about the level of the fluid in the hydraulic reservoir, you want to have all of your jacks up and all of your rooms in completely, and then you want to make sure you're within 1 inch from the top of this reservoir. That is full. If it ever runs empty, for some reason you get a leak and you fill it back up, you want to constantly hold retract on the jacks on the inside, which we will cover, and that's how you bleed the air out of the system. This is your generator compartment. Your Cummins Onan generator is one of the top line generators on the market. In my personal opinion, they are the best. You do not ever run the generator with the access panel removed. It will actually suck hot air into the air intake, and it is very bad for the generator. You do have a start-stop feature on the generator here, so if you want to mess with it and make sure it does work and maybe the switch inside is not operating, you can come out here and use the switch here to turn it on. You can hold stop if you have not ran your generator in about 2 days to 3 days or more, and you will prime the motor itself with fuel, and then you can press the start button to fire it up. Also, another very important note: if you are camping off the generator and for some reason you lose power, or if you lose power to half of the motorhome, you want to go directly to both of these breakers and make sure they are in the on position. You'll notice that it's labeled off and on. If the breaker trips, it will be off. You want to come out here and just flick it on, and that'll probably save you a $100 service call from a mobile guy. So make sure to check that first. All the information as far as oil filters, or air filters, oil filters, and oil is right here. So based on your temperature of the environment you're going to be staying in, you're going to want to use the corresponding oil. 15W40 is normally the best, especially if you're going to be in Florida. This is your water connection station. Sorry about all the water. It just got done raining out here, and we just got done de-winterizing your unit, so there's a little bit of water here. It will be cleaned up before it makes it to you. So this portion here is how you control what water you're using, and by what water you're using, I mean you can either, what we call, use city water, which is where you put a water hose in this inlet right here, and you just use the pressure off the water hose itself. If that is how you are camping, you want your knob to be turned towards the city fixture label. Now, if you have a water hose hooked up here and your freshwater tank on the other side that we covered is empty, you can turn this straight down and fill the water tank on the other side. Now, if you are driving down the road and you're going to have your water pump on so you can use the facilities while you're in transit, you want to be on normal. And if you are ever going to winterize the unit by yourself, you turn it up to sanitize, winterize, and you would also put a short hose inside of here that would stick inside a jug of potable antifreeze that is RV acceptable. It will suck the antifreeze through here with the water pump, so you'll have to have your water pump on. This is a water filter canister to the side here. If you ever do winterize your unit, you need to take the filter out because it will actually turn the pink fluid clear, and you'll never see any pink fluid coming through anywhere. That's very important. So you always want to pull that out. This is what you call a sewer tank flush valve. So when you dump the sewage in your motorhome, you want to take your water hose and hook it up here and immediately start flushing out your sewer tank. This is going to help control the odors, and it's also going to help control the sensors inside the tank so they read accurately. Once you do this, notice right below here, this is actually where you're going to drain your sewage from. You have a black handle on the left side here and a gray handle on the right side here. The gray handle is exactly what it is. It's the gray tanks, which is your sinks and your shower water. The black handle is the toilet only. So if you're unfamiliar with the process of dumping your tanks, the first thing you do is you dump your black tank. You'll pull this valve straight out. You'll listen and you'll wait till you stop hearing fluid come out of the tank, and then you'll close it. Once it's closed, that's when you're going to start the flushing procedure. Once you start the flushing procedure, you go directly to the monitor panel inside and you press the black tank button. You're going to press and hold this button and watch until you see the level reach full. Once the level reaches full, you're going to come back outside, turn your water hose off, pull your black handle one more time, let that dirty rinsed out water come out, and then you'll close that, and then you'll use the gray soapy water from your sinks and your showers to rinse out your sewer hose. After that, you have done the process and you're ready to continue camping. You also have an exterior shower here in case you get a little mess or you want to wash your hands off, possibly want to rinse out your sewer hose. You do have hot and cold water at this access. That's a water pump switch right there as well. Now I want you to notice that you have a valve on this red line and a valve on this blue line. These are what's known as low point drains. If you're planning to stay in Florida with this motorhome, you're probably never going to touch these. If you are planning to go somewhere that's very cold and you're not going to use your furnace all the time, you're going to want to drain the water out of your camper. There are several methods of doing this. I do not advise you to do this on your own. You're going to want to get a technician that knows what he's doing. Otherwise, you may end up paying a lot of money for freeze damage. So make sure you get the right process of elimination down before you attempt to winterize your motorhome.
I'm just trying to light them up video on the left here.
Right here we've got another pass-through storage compartment. We have an inverter up here. There are several other devices on the ceiling here. You're going to want to refer to your auto gen set manual if you ever mess with this. This is a timer and a time delay mechanism. If you leave your motorhome for any extended period of time, you can actually use the auto gen set feature to start up and run, charge your batteries, possibly run while you're heating your coach while you're not in it. Maybe you want the refrigerator to stay nice and cold. You want to charge the batteries up so your inverter continues to work. If your batteries are dead, your inverter will not power anything. The inverter's function is it actually takes electricity from the batteries and turns it into shoreline electricity, which you would be plugged into or what you would get from your generator. This is efficient for driving. If you want your refrigerator to be cold while you're driving, You will turn this on from the remote feature inside the motorhome, and we will cover that once we get inside. This compartment is actually where your shoreline power cord is. It is not permanently affixed to the outlet inside here, but notice the blue light. If you're ever curious whether or not you've lost power on your power cord and you don't want to walk all the way to the box you're plugged into to check the breaker, you can come right here and see if there's a blue light. If you have a blue light, you want to go to your power command center, which we're going to cover inside, and start checking your main breakers. Also notice on the floor of the compartment you have these lids here and here. You can run your power cord through this hole, so that way you can keep this compartment door closed while you're at your campsite. Also, you have a park cable connection here, so if the park you're in offers cable, you can run your cable up through this smaller hole, plug it into the park cable connection, and then turn your TVs on cable through the channel settings and run an auto channel scan, which we will cover inside, and that will pick up the cable and you'll be able to watch the cable throughout your motorhome. Now, at the rear of your motorhome, I want you to notice that you have two fuel doors, one in the front, one in the rear. They are both labeled unleaded fuel only. The fuel door in the front that's closest to the driver's seat fills the gas tank for the motorhome. The fuel door in the rear fills a separate fuel cell, so that way you can fill whatever you're carrying in your toy hauler section up if it runs out of gas. You also have a fuel pump switch and a fuel gauge for that separate tank. Now we're going to head to the engine compartment up front, and we're going to cover some fluid. Directly above the rear axle, we have a water heater access panel. Your water heater controls are all done from the inside. It is propane and electric. There's nothing you have to do outside except for if the unit is ever winterized. If the unit is winterized, you'll have to drain the water via the water plug. And if you ever hear a loud noise and you hear a lot of water escaping the water heater, you want to get it in for service, because your thermostats are probably bad and they're not allowing the heat portion to shut off. And this is called a TMP valve. This will be that loud noise I'm talking about. If your water heater ever overheats, it potentially could be a pressure bomb. That's why they install these. These have a spring tension inside of them that's set for a certain PSI based off heat. If that ever happens, you want to go in for service immediately. Other than that, everything else is done from the inside.